That's how I
Yeah.
got so. That's how I got so cool with a lot of New York artists, man. Because regardless of what was going on, man, I got a lot of respect from a lot of New York artists, and vice versa. So I was never into the bullshit. I used to fuck with niggas like Pete and Premier
Yeah. Yeah.
and early Nas before he came out. We all used to hang out with the Premier, man, in the white MPV van, and he used to pick me up and roll me around, take me to the crib, and so that's how I got familiar hanging out with him and people like Tretch and shit like that on the East Coast. So
Respect. It all makes sense. I know you fuck with Preem. I knew that. I seen Preem bring you out at Summer Stage one
yeah,
time in New
yeah,
York and all that. But I knew you was fucking with him back in the day because
yeah,
Preem's my man and Pete and all them. I know all them dudes.
yeah. Preem brought me to BB King's one time.
Crazy.
He brought me out to do some stuff with Black Poet. Um, like I said, anytime I would go to New York on a promo run or anything like that, shit, I would call Primo and Primo pick us up. Primo introduced me to Swisher Sweets, man, blunts and
Oh,
Philly blunts
crazy.
and shit. So
Crazy. Because to me, the Swishers, that's like, yeah, the Swishers to LA. We did Phillies back then, and
y'all
then
did
we moved to
y'all
the
did
Dutch Master.
yeah, y'all
Dutch
did the
Master.
Phillies and y'all did the
Vanilla.
White House.
Yeah, the White House
Y'all
really
did
early.
the
That's why they
White
call it.
House, man.
That's why
Yeah.
they call it a L. That's where that comes from.
Exactly, and
L
that's
for
how
like the White House.
I smoked my first blunt with Primo. Man, he introduced me
Crazy.
to nigga. When I came back to LA, probably like 89, 90, nigga, I ran straight to Savon's and was got the Philly blunts, man. And I've been smoking blunts ever since, man.
LA was always Cali to me. Was always people smoke Zags because in New York
Yeah,
we never
yeah,
had.
yeah.
We don't
We,
have orange Zags. We didn't have
yeah,
them till way later. We
yeah,
had bamboo back in the day.
right. We had the Zags and shit, so that's how we used to get our smoke on. And then once I came back from New York, I'm like, man, I ain't never smoking that shit no more. I was
Yeah.
big fat Philly blunts, nigga, stuff them motherfuckers and just be smoking all day like a big ass Cuban cigar, but just shit. So definitely got love for New York.
Yeah,
Man, I'm
man.
just sitting back.
I'm like you. Like I always like LA was always cool to me. I never felt none of that fun because I've been fucking with Muggs and Cypress since before they came
Exactly.
out. Since they was 783 and B Real was named Louis. So you know what I mean? Like I knew them from back then. So to me, like that was always my people in LA. When I came to LA, I always fell in with Muggs and B Real and them. So to me, LA was always cool.
Definitely.
That's crazy, man. You know what? This would be a dope ass show just listening to you and Eiht tell those stories, man, about back in the day. Two legends just building, man, and reminiscing.
Exactly.
Hey, I'm right here, man. I'm for it. I was always a fan of the way you rap the offbeat, on-beat style. That shit was always
Right.
hard to me. Hood Took Me Under was a new. We loved that record in New York, man. We was fucking with that.
Yeah, they banged the hood, took me under in New York. All that early music to drive by shit.
Yeah, that was my shit. That shit was funky.
I'm gonna let
I
y'all
liked it
continue
because
on
y'all
with
also
the
had like
conversation.
you had the Lee Dorsey joint. Like you had a lot of breaks. Like I
Yeah,
think
we
Unknown was doing it, but y'all was using a lot of ill breaks.
Slip was doing a lot of that, the
Slip.
meters and Lee
Yeah,
Dorsey
yeah,
and all
yeah.
that. Slip was one of those digging the crates type of DJs. So
Yeah, he had to give it up joint, the Lee Dorsey shit. When I heard that, I was
exactly,
like, oh, these motherfuckers got records over here.
definitely.
And you produce too, right, Dante? You don't produce a lot
Yeah,
of hit
yeah.
records,
I
man.
don't produce anymore, but I did for a long time. Yeah, and I always had my hand in shit with like whether it was Pooh Bah, Brand Nubian, or Third Base, whoever it was. I always did shit, and then later on, I did bigger alternative records. I could produce Everlast solo records, shit like that.
Yeah, that Everlast record was huge, man. For those people, we not gonna do the standard introduction because I like just sitting back hearing these stories like y'all do. We have A&R legend. When people was really A&R on records, a real A&R, real
Mm.
record man, Dante Ross. Man, we appreciate you coming on, man.
Oh man, it's a pleasure to be here, man.
Yeah, we gonna continue on with this dope conversation, man, because I think your contribution to hip hop, just both of y'all contribution to hip hop, man, is very understated, man. And I think I listen to people give people props, and I don't, everybody don't deserve the props that they necessarily get. Because a lot of people take credit for stuff that they didn't do, but you really had a hand in this stuff. I think that's what made you real special, is you had a
Thank
hand
you,
in
man.
it. You had a
You
real
know,
hand
I,
in it.
I mean, I love the music, so I grew up like loving music my whole life. I never knew what I was gonna do. And then somehow I lucked into the music business because I had friends who was, who was getting on, who was popping. Like I grew up with the Beasties and all that. So being around it, man, I was just so lucky to not have to fucking do construction anymore and fucking all the bullshit I was doing. So for me, it was always like music first, all the other shit is second. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I bet you felt like you never worked a day in your life then.
Yo, it's crazy you say that because I always said that I never had a real job. I was like, I don't really know what that's like. I just know how to do what I do, and somehow I managed to make it, work for me. I got lucky, man. And everyone doesn't get lucky. Doing A&R is so overrated in a sense because most people who love music have good taste. I was just lucky enough to be in the spot to open the doors for some people, and keep my spot. But it's like a lot of A&R people we're really just glorified super fans. We're not that much more than that, And people get super gassed on that shit, but it ain't really all that.
Yeah, I was at A&R for 7 years, man. I did it for 7 years. But mine, the music publishing, I always tell people I was a guy that had a pen with no ink in it.
I feel you, man. I mean, the amount of great shit that people, my boss wouldn't let me sign Cypress Hill because of the song Killer Man. And like, I wanted to sign them. And he was like, we're not going to put that record out. And I was like, for real? I couldn't sign him. So that's like, and there's always someone who tells you what you can and can't do. And that shit is just stupid. Motherfuckers who don't really know the culture want to tell you what to do.
Yeah, I got a big one. So these people from England that had a bag of money, they owned a lot of catalog. They actually owned the Troglodyte record. They actually made all their money from the Troglodyte sample. They owned that record, right? And they had that Yardborough people was a bunch of Gap Band stuff. So they, they talked to me, and I actually met them clearing the sample. I was clearing the sample for Glass's album, and they were asking me who did the production on the records, right? And I was like, oh, we did all this stuff ourselves. So I met with them in LA, and next thing you know, I had the job, right? They were telling me they were opening this office in LA. So my boy Top Dog from TDE, he hits me up, man. This is maybe 2006. This is real early, like 2006, 2007. He says, hey, man. And at that point, he only got, I think he got Kendrick, he got J-Rock, he got Absol, and he got Schoolboy Q. That was the whole TDE roster, right? They were doing this stuff out the back garage in Carson. And I knew he had some shit. Like you said, we fans of music. I said, man, this dude got some shit, man. And this K-Dot kid is unbelievable. He had all these big words and stuff. He didn't rap like the normal 16-year-old. So he came to me and said, hey, Steele, see if I got to put some money in these guys' pocket. They getting antsy. See if you can get me a publishing deal for about 150, 200. Not that much money. I went up there and asked them. They about laughed me out the office. They said, these people have no analytics. What are we just giving money away? You know that no. And the funny part about it, they hit me 2 years later. Hey, man, you think we can still do that deal? And I said, yeah, right.
A&R means analytics and research now. That's all that should mean. People reading numbers on paper, and that's that doing shit like that. You might find a fly-by-night record, a one-off artist, but you ain't finding an artist like that, like a career artist. You're not going to find somebody who's around forever that way. That's just, you're going to find that one thing that's lightning in a bottle, but you're not going to find a great one like that. Very rarely, man. That's
I think collectively, all those 4 guys, man, have all sold upwards. Like, I always keep counting. I say, man, these dudes don't sold like, man, like 20, 25 million records collectively,
I mean, K-Dot, when he was just a pen, like, before Section 80, I remember he had the mixtapes out. He was just writing for Dre, and that's how he had got plugged in. He was one of his writers. And he's like, to me, like, because the era that we come from, a lot of this rap shit now couldn't hold water back in that era in the 90s, the early 2000s. Kendrick could hold water back then. He's dope. Like, he would have been dope back then. Where a lot of these dudes is kind of, it's cool for now. It ain't really cool for like the standards that like we have. You know what I mean? It's a little different.
Oh, yeah,
because lyrics don't, like, rapping doesn't really count like that anymore. Dudes can say any gibbly glad shit.
Yeah, the standard of what we, I guess, stood on when it came to hip hop, whatever. It was a bigger standard that we took. We took pride in. That's how I try to tell motherfuckers. We took pride in making songs. You get me? We didn't take pride in just coming out rapping. You get me? Anybody do it.
Right.
Shit.
Yeah.
Not to clown, but we had shit like, we had rappers and we had MCs who made songs. You get me?
Right.
And those are the type of artists who you look up today, and they're still able to do a concert or put out a single or video or whatever, because we were able to stand the test of time because of the pride we took. You get me? Nobody wanted
100%.
Nobody wanted to release no whack shit to be on the radio. You get me? And yeah, you could have made a mixed show or whatever, but the pride of your song made you go, fuck that. I'm gonna really make records. You get me?
The standard of rapping, it's like the bar's been lowered, right? And everything's supposed to go up. Like we look at sports, right? Like I'm a basketball fanatic. Motherfuckers are so athletic and incredible now, right? But rapping did the opposite. That shit, the bar got lowered. Where you're like, yo, really? Like, you know what I mean? It's kind of fucking weird, man.
A lot of motherfuckers, because the average fan of rap music changed, and it's simplified. And what I tell niggas all the time, you're a smart motherfucker, but sometimes to belong and to put yourself in a different element, you dumb yourself down. You get
Of course, you make it simpler, easier, more palatable.
And that's what motherfuckers start doing. They start dumbing themselves down to the music, because everybody not gonna understand a hood took me under, or self-explanatory niggas struggling, or growing up in the hood. Simplified, everybody gonna understand. Get your gun, make you some money, and shoot and fuck bitches. You get me?
Get money, fuck bitches. That shit kind of like, everyone got that. Everyone gets that, but motherfuckers don't, you know.
But what's your story behind it? And I think that's where it changed, because a lot of niggas was like, man, I'm not trying to make no motherfucking song that I look up 30 years from now, they gonna be still talking about growing up in the hood or hood took me under and shit. Nigga, I'm trying to make some shit right now, quick, fast, in a hurry, and then get it over with. And so a lot of artists dumb themselves down because they want to be simplified, because a lot of motherfuckers can't get the history of hip hop. You get me? That's why they always talking about trying to cancel out or the age difference, or you get me, because they don't want to give respect to the fact that motherfuckers like you and me and Steele and whoever, we still can sustain in this business if we wanted to, because that's how deep history we had as far as our music is concerned. You put out a song today, a nigga ain't gonna remember that motherfucker past 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's crazy you say that, because I'm always like, a song lasts a day, an album lasts a week now.
Exactly.
You know, Spotify, that shit is just, and we got like, I call it swag rap. Dudes is like they got their cute little song and they got their swag on and all that, but the music's not popping. Like it's cool for 5 minutes, and we always had a little bit of that. And then you got the dudes who like, there's always been also the side of rap where dudes like, they not crazy spitters, but they got like a sauce to them, right? Like Too Short ain't Rakim, but he got sauce. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
He's saucy. You know what I mean?
He sustains his group because he stuck to his format. You get me?
He never tried. He was always Too Short.
I'm gonna throw a little bit when I'm gonna go down to Atlanta, get me a little John, and sprinkle that on there. But the concept is still gonna be money, ass, and pussy and bitches. It's still gonna say the same concept. You get me? I'm not gonna go into an element to where, well, shit, I think I'm gonna be a fucking Kendrick on this record, or Drake, or I think I'm gonna be no. I'm gonna stick to the format that's been working for me for the last 30 years. And he gonna say bitch, and he gonna say pop that pussy and give me some money. And every motherfucker who listened to him from back in 87 is gonna bang his shit today, because he's sticking to the same format. He ain't changed. And I can respect that.
I respect that. He's saucy. It's like nowadays it's cookie cutter. Everybody want to be like the next dude. Everyone raps like the next man. A dude has a hit over here like this, and dudes try and make that same song. When we, back in the day, it was like, you can't bite. That's, you're a sucker.
Yeah, we hated bite. Yeah, that was
biters. That's sucker shit.
Yeah, that was despised for us back then.
Biter would get his ass whooped back in the day.
100%. You're not, man. And like, I don't always want to say everything's whack now because there's a lot of shit I like. Like I went to the show last week. I went and seen Earl Sweatshirt at the Novo, and that shit was dope. Like it was dope. Seeing Alchemist and Rock Marcy and all that shit. That shit was dope to me. So there's still a lot of shit I like. Like Larry June is ill. There's a lot of shit I like still. You just got to dig deeper. It's like digging for records. You got to just go a little
Yeah, you
deeper
got
below the
to
surface.
find this shit because we don't get as popular. We don't get as promoted as we used to. And not to say back then was good, but you still had the mighty power machine, the Sonys and the Universals behind you, and you might have not got to the motherfucking Hollywood Bowl, but you got to the motherfucking Hollywood Palladium. You get me?
Right. Yeah.
You get me that right. We might have didn't play the Forum, but we got to play the Novo downtown or the Key Club in Hollywood.
Right.
Like that. So we were able to get put on a better pedestal than nowadays. It's like, I don't want to go to that motherfucking show. You get me? Like, you don't know.
Motherfucking shows is so whack half the time now. It's like dudes rap over their vocals. The shit is like karaoke. It's just like it's garbage. Like dudes is just going over the vocals, not really rapping. Like in live performances plummeted. It is, and then there's still guys who Earl was killing it. Like Tyler kills it. There's people who still kill it. I saw Nas with fucking Wu-Tang in Orange County, like when I was out there a little while ago. Shit was funky, you know what I mean? But you got a lot of shit that's not funky right now. And even like doing A&R. So like I have my own label with Rock Nation now. But before I had this, I worked at for Warner Music Group, and I was like chasing things with numbers because that was my job. And I signed a couple of things that like hit, but I was like, these motherfuckers, I don't want to be in the studio with this dude. This record, he got one record. Like, I know this ain't popping again. And you just know that it's not a career artist. And when you start doing shit like that, that's when you got to change what you do. That shit just ain't feel good.
Exactly. What's funny? You said you was at the Rock Marciano show.
Yeah.
Me and Eiht was supposed to be there. Eiht was supposed to be there.
They told me that because yeah, I heard that because I fuck with Rock. He lived right near me, like, but also his manager Baba is like one of my best friends, Salim. So I fuck with Rock all the time. Rock is ill. He's to me like he's the coldest.
Oh no, he's
a dope dude.
He's cold. He raps really fucking good. Like he just, he got it. He got the mojo where a lot of cats don't have it right now. I mean, you and Rock together will be ill. I need to hear that. That should be funky.
Yeah, we trying to put some stuff together right now. You know what I'm saying? So, it's certain, I guess, artists people can respect, and when they link up and click up, it's something worthy of, you know what I'm saying? Like, anytime I see Alchemist put something out, I'll be, it's worthy. You get me? It's just due to it's just dudes who still have that passion. You get me?
Right.
You get me?
Yeah, I mean, Al is like us. He's like, he's like everyone's son. Like I knew him since he was a little kid. Like he was in the Hooligans. He soaked it up. Like, you know what I mean? He was born in this shit. Like,
man, I started fucking with Alchemist, man, back in when I didn't even know Alchemist. I was listening to, shit that he was doing with Prodigy and them,
Yeah.
He was my, and then for him to come out and he started rapping and busting, and then I started seeing older shit when he was a kid. I was like, Alchemist is tight. So anytime anytime he calls me and be like, hey, I need you to come do something. I think I did 2 records with Alchemist.
Yeah, I heard him before. I remember. I know you. Yeah. I mean, you guys did one that was crazy. Were you on a record with Action Bronson?
I think did? Bronson, and then I was on a record with Spice One. He did too.
Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah. Spice One and you had an album back in the day, right?
Yeah, we had 2 little collaboration albums, and then once Alchemist started his label, I did 2 singles for Alchemist. Tight, like I said, he's one of them that got that sound, man. That you just. And now they, like you said, they got that team of the Larry Junes and the Rock Marcianos and all of that. So they creating that flavor, which is I think is appreciated by old school hip hop heads. You get me?
Like we fuck with it, but I was at the show, man. There was a lot of youngsters there. It was cool as hell. I was like, there's a lot of, little 20-year-olds, 18-year-olds in
Yeah,
here. It
I
was
seen
fucking
him.
dope, man.
He brought Hit Boy out, and Hit
Yeah,
Boy performed.
yeah,
Is that right?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Boldy James out there.
him and Hit Boy got a song called "Slippin'," and
Yep.
Hit Boy performed it. So yeah, he had everybody there, like kind of
Yeah,
perform
everyone was there.
on his
It was
bill.
dope.
Yeah,
It was super dope. It was shit. It was my birthday too that day, so I went. I went with my people. It was fucking great. I saw Rock and everything. It was really cool. And that to me is like that's maybe the pocket of hip hop that is interesting to me still. You know, like but there's shit everywhere. Like even I look to like the South, like I like Jid and Earth Gang and Kenny Mason, all them dudes in Atlanta. Them dudes rap good too, man. There's still rappers who really rap. You just got to look harder for it, man. You know.
yeah. Earth Gang is pretty cool down in Atlanta. I
Yeah,
bang them. Yeah, I bangs them a lot.
I mean, what's fucked up is that New York, which should be like really still pushing the culture, really just tried to jump on being like everywhere else, which is like super disappointing. Because like New York had, they always pushed the boundaries. I don't want to say they were the most progressive, but a lot of very forward thinking, great music came from New York,
Oh,
and it's
definitely.
just not doing that right now.
Well, it's the
Like New York
motherland.
is trying. It's not, yeah, well, it's the mecca of it, but New York it's not a leader anymore. New York was trying to be Atlanta for like the last decade. It's fucking
But what
weird, man.
happened is when you start seeing Brooklyn drill and all this other stuff, we talk about it all the time, man. It's real microwave right now. You see some of these girls like rapping, and you start thinking about the Queen Latifahs, the MC Lights, and just being a female MC, you some really dope female MCs. And I look at them now, and it's almost like embarrassing.
I mean, female MCs are a whole nother category. Like they just, I mean, it's about like showing they shit and talking about they shit and that whole shit. It's like it's been reduced to just a sexist cartoon at this point. It's kind of fucked up. And
But
it was part of it that's sad too is because like Megan, not sad, but Megan Thee Stallion could actually really rap. She don't really rap, but she can really rap. But they just, you get in that box and that's the box they're going to keep you in. Brooklyn Drill is weird to me because I like the Kid Cash Cobain because I like his spin on it because he took something that was super negative and he made it kind of fun. But a lot of Brooklyn Drill shit is just terrible. Like the dudes just rapping, just terrible. It's, the whole style of punching in every single bar is just not happening to me. It's a weird ass style.
well, you know what I think happened, man? The producer got took out the element. Where hip hop became easier and more accessible, you think about it now, it's like if I make a record, I was telling Eiht the other day, I remember I would have to bring in a guitar player, a piano player, and this and that. Now, I don't have to do none of that.
I mean, technology is a gift and a curse, man.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of kids like got Fruity Loops and look, like the beauty is that maybe some kid who's from nowhere in his bedroom who ain't got shit can make a hit record and have a better life, right? That's the beauty of it. But
Right.
the downside is a lot of motherfuckers shouldn't be making music, just making music, like and everyone shouldn't make music.
Well, what happened to Dante is this, right? Where you got that producer that's kind of coaching you, and as you go along, right? Like you think about it, Eiht had his own shit going, but he had a producer in his camp with him. He had Slip.
100%.
You feel what I'm saying? He had Slip, and they would collaborate together. Eiht is a hell of a producer too, so they would get together. They actually learned how to make records together, and he stayed with the same crew. Eiht didn't chase what was hot. He didn't go get a beat from Timberland. He kind of stayed in his lane, right? And I think what's happening today is, like you said, New York is no longer progressive. It's because they see these records blowing up in the South, man. I'm gonna tell you, the South is not going nowhere, man. They got a chokehold in the game. It's not gonna change. Hell, it's the biggest region in the country. When you start talking about the South, you got to include the Midwest in there. The Cleveland.
Because and stuff from the South too also travel better than New York music, right? Like Southern music would hit in the Bay Area, would hit in LA more, but definitely Chicago, Detroit, the middle of the country, because motherfuckers in New York, they talk different. It's different, it's not the same dialect, so it didn't travel as well. New York also, not for nothing, New York was on its own, did too much. Like at one point, it was too much, and I think that's what kind of started the other people's like fuck New York shit, and it just kind of like we did it to ourselves if you get it, and it's funny too because we talk about that '90s pocket, the early 2000s. Before all that shit happened with Puff and Death Row and all that bullshit, motherfuckers was musically fucking with each other, and it was different sounds, but we respected all the Snoop shit and Short in New York. We was fucking with all that. That shit was all cool to us. UGK, all that shit was cool to us. And New York music travel too. Once that happened, shit, everything changed, you know. And I hate to say it, I almost blame the dumbing down of rap. It started with Mace. I always think he's the first one to make it stupid because it was like, you know, Big was like the greatest, and then Mace came right after him. Mace was like, he was swag rap, like he was
Right.
rapping kind of, it was like almost karaoke. He was rapping off of shit. Like everyone knew the records he was using. It just didn't have the creativity, and everyone seen that hit, and then everyone's like, I can do it too. And then we got
The
a lot of
crazy
that
part
shit for a
about it
long
is Mace is a
time.
dude that can actually rap when he want to.
He actually can rap, and when he's in Children of Corn, he actually did rap. You know, like I seen a freestyle him the other day. He was rapping good, but you know that moment in time, just when it changed everything forever. Shit was never the same after that.
Yeah, they took it from they took it from the natural element, and somebody figured out, let's commercialize this shit. And nigga, I'm gonna be Hammer with the Taco Bell pants on, jumping down from get me. Like somebody figured out, wait a minute, let me commercialize this shit. Let us use some of those popular commercialized 70s dance records and whoopty whoop. And next thing you know, it seemed like the element of creation started changing, because like you said, now everybody want one of those commercialized, you know, Hot 97 hits that they can play all day, and you know, take it from, you know, like you said, Mace with the Simple Records, and you know, my nigga Jay-Z went to the ABC, and you know, H to the Izzo. Everybody started going, I'm gonna commercialize this shit and make big bucks. And then,
you know, it's hard to be like commercial and still dope, right? To walk
right,
that fence, right? A few people did it. Jay did it, I think. Buster did it sometimes. Big Pun, right? Snoop. How do you do that? How do you walk that line and not be corny as hell, right? Very hard to do, man. And some cats did it well, and a lot of cats did it trash. You know, like I thought it was, you know, like DMX was like interesting and good.
Snoop saying "cuz" on T-Mobile commercials now.
Yo, that's so crazy, right?
That shit is crazy
Yo,
as a motherfucker.
Snoop
Somebody
definitely made Crippin' mainstream.
you know, we was sitting up somewhere. Somebody looked at me and say, "Did he just say cuz?" And I said, "Yeah, nigga, that's
that's so
T-Mobile
crazy, yo.
commercial."
That
So
is
you know,
so crazy.
he
That's
said,
just
"Cuz."
the craziest right there, yo.
Exactly, and knowing from where that stemmed from, and our
Yo,
walk of life, to hear, you know, a big ass corporation to the point to where they letting the nigga just bang on like nigga cuz.
And they probably
I
don't
mean,
have a clue.
he was cripping in the Olympics, man. Like, you know
Well,
what I mean? It's
definitely.
like,
I
yo,
mean, it's Snoop is the popular. He's the comfortable crip. He makes everyone feel like, oh, gangbanging is cool, nigga. You see Snoop Dogg? He said "cuz" to me. Get me?
that's
Like
so crazy.
that's cool to them.
It's
Back
cool to
30
me. I mean, it's cool to me
years,
on one level
30
because
years ago,
I'd rather
nigga
see
walk
Snoop
up.
get that check than someone who sold
Nigga,
a
30
fucking
years ago,
sucker.
nigga walk up to you and get the cousin, you've been like, oh, nigga, it's finna go down. Something's finna happen.
Yo,
But to see a nigga like, damn, this nigga in 80 million homes talking about a cuz and whoopty, and it's like, oh shit, we don't care. That's Snoop Dogg. Yeah, thumbs
that's
up for
so
that.
crazy. I
Hey
mean, you know,
Dante,
being from New York, like when I would go to LA and people would say hard, I'd be like, oh shit, motherfuckers is really about that. Because in New York, like we don't say shit with like 8 A's. But when
Yeah,
that's how I always knew I was in the shit, I was like, oh, these motherfuckers just said hard. I'm like, oh man, this is the shit over here.
hey,
Funny, you know, I knew Ice Cube back in the day, and I had gone to his house a long time ago, right after it was after America's Most Wanted came out, and I went to hang out with him. It was like right around that time, and we went to his house in South Central, and his mom gave like I had cereal at his house, and I was like I was eating food and shit, and I was like, this shit don't look bad. Like I was like, you got a house and a yard. Like I'm from New York, we don't got none of this shit. And he was like, at
exactly.
nighttime, he was like, nighttime, it's fucked up over here. And then he told me all about it. I really seen how different it was. I always was fascinated by the cultural differences between New York and LA, because New York back then, we didn't have no gangbanging shit, right? We didn't have that shit. We got your block, you got your crew from your block. It's a different world, you know. It to me was always fascinating because we didn't have the organization, but it was like also a little bit depressing that like so many people are born into this thing that's like, you know, man, where's it going to take you? And there's not a lot of ways out of it, and it's generational. So, you know, I would always be like, you know, and there's this book that my pops, he was a writer, he put up called City of Quartz, and it explained kind of the roots of it all, and so how the penal system in California came to basically dictate what happened in the streets of California. And to me, that bugged me out because New York is different. It's not it's a whole different way of looking at it. But we go to 2024 and New York got all that shit now.
Exactly. It was crazy to see that transition because somebody like me who've been traveling to New York since '89, you get me, like, I didn't see none of that shit. Like we used to
have that shit.
We used to get on
there and they full-fledged banging on it too.
Nigga, we used to get on the train, you know, we used to walk around, we used to go to Brooklyn, we used to walk over the bridge, and the last thing I knew motherfuckers was hard, you know, we didn't see we didn't see the warriors in different movies and situations, but I never had the fear of going, I'm gonna be sweated by another Crip of Blood out here. You get me? Like, we was hard niggas. Like, I tell that story everywhere we go. It was hard niggas everywhere we go. But
everywhere you go, there's somebody.
New York didn't express the Crip and Blood and shit like we did in LA. That was like our foundation.
Right,
like,
that's not our culture.
Exactly.
You know?
New York.
Our culture is graffiti and breakdancing.
Graffiti, breakdancing. They got their crews and cliques, and you know, we got the warlords or the spiders or the whatever.
Exactly.
It was never like, nigga, we the spider bloods over here, or we the you know, we the warrior crips over here. It was never that. It was shit, nigga. You'd be blacks, Mexicans, whatever. It clicked up in the same shit. So I never feared, or not to say fear, but we never anticipated running into any gang banging situations as far as New York was concerned. Even I go to Chicago, I'd go to Texas. The niggas was, like I said, niggas was hard everywhere, but there were limited places where niggas was actually cripping and blooding. You get me?
I mean, that shit took over the whole country. I mean, I was in New York, like, you know, I'm old friends with Booyah. I was out there like with them the first time they came out there. I took Cobra and them to Harlem. They want to go to see 125th Street. The motherfuckers was bugging on them. And it was all red and the braids, and motherfuckers like, yo, motherfuckers look crazy, you know, because in New York, everyone talks to each other, right? Like everyone got some shit to say to you. And motherfuckers was like, oh, your motherfuckers look cool as hell. That shit could not happen nowadays. You couldn't go do that now.
Hell no.
Hey, you know, did you watch the Wu-Tang movie, the series?
Yeah. I wrote on the third season. I worked on it. And I worked with Riz on a bunch of stuff. I had helped work on the dirty episodes. I wrote on a couple of them. So yeah, I not only did I watch it, I worked on it. So yeah.
Real quick, man, because Old Dirty, man, I think he was one of the most unique artists of all time.
I mean, he was undoubtedly. I mean, he was undoubtedly one of the you know, the craziest, most charismatic, wildest. You know, he was like a dangerous Bismarcky or some shit. You know what I mean? Like,
but you know what's crazy is his confidence. I saw this dude in New Orleans one year, and it was, I forget where we was at, man. I was out there with I think DJ Bobcat, and he said, any rappers out there, I'll bust y'all ass right now. Where the rappers at? And nobody stood up.
Yo, I was there that year, man. He was so crazy. That was, man, we did this Electra showcase, and man, he tore that motherfucker down. But he came out and they had a mirror on the side of the stage and just started looking at himself and talking, rapping to himself in the mirror like he was like, I can't, like Elvis Presley. I can't even explain it. And he was like, it was like there was like 2,000 people, 1,500 people there. And he did a performance in a mirror for like one song for himself. Like he didn't even pay attention. He was so fucking wild. I love the dude, man. Ason Unique. I miss him a lot. He was you know, it was hard to see how it all went down. You know, like
Yeah,
it was rough to watch.
he was good people. I had the pleasure of fucking with Dirt a lot when I went to New York. Um, you know, Wu-Tang, for some reason, we gravitated to each other. You know,
It's real recognized real. That's why.
They even put you in a series. Eiht is in the series. I called on one
Um,
night. I was watching it, and I said they got the homie Eiht in there.
yeah, I was real cool, especially with Method and Dirt. And then with Raekwon, I was real cool with them. And so, like I said, they flew me out to New York to be in the All Can It Be So Simple video.
Oh, yeah. That's right. That's right. You're in the video. It's crazy. I forgot about that.
And then I did a song with Dirt with the remix for Shimmy Shimmy, me and E40.
Yeah.
He was a cool cat. He was in Compton for a while too, stomping around, just fucking around.
Yo.
Yeah,
Yo.
Dirt was everywhere, man.
For
That
some
nigga
He was
reason, I
everywhere.
can picture that, man.
Yeah, he was.
I could too, because he'll end up anywhere. You never know where he'll show up. He was
he was a wild.
I mean, he was the wildest. He's a wild motherfucker.
Wild,
like
Actually, one of the homies from Compton, man, told me he was messing with his sister. He told me, he said, man, old dirty bastard been over our house messing with my son.
I don't know what he was doing in Compton. He was doing something, but he was stomping around the streets for a minute, man. But he was one of those, like I said, he was just accepted by motherfuckers because motherfuckers knew how serious and passionate he was about his shit. And
now, when you was putting that record together,
once you became his friend and cool with him, shit.
Oh man, he was the best. I mean, I was in the Bay Area with them, and I knew 40 a little, and we bumped into 40 and them, and that's how him and 40 ended up on that record because they had the same birthday. So they started talking, and they was like, something came up, and it was like, yo, we got the same born day. And then they started calling each other twin, and we were like really cool with 40 because of that. It was like, that's such an odd pair, those two. You know what I mean? Like,
we was all in Oakland for something in the Bay they was doing, and we just all happened to end up at the same spot, and we all went to Studio Tones that night. Me, 40, and Dirt, and that's when we came up with the remix. And they liked it so good that they flew us all back to New York to do the video.
Yeah.
I shot the video.
Yeah. I was at the video shoot. I came by and all that. That's so crazy. Yeah, man. He you know, I worked on this documentary that's on Hulu now called Tale of Two Dirties. I was a producer on it with the family. And you know, like I do a lot of stuff for his family still. Like I helped him find checks here and there, and his wife Shaquita, she had came to me maybe 8 years ago and was like, I got all this old footage of Dirty. Do you think we could do something with it? And from there, we you know, we kicked it around for a few years with Messiah, who runs the foundation, and we ended up hooking up with Sam Pollard and Jason, and we got the doc done, and we made it with Post Film. So like from her just calling me one day with this idea, it actually all happened. I gotta take my hat off to her. She really was like, I think I got something, and she did. It was super cool to see it, man, come together. And Dirty was like, you know, I loved him, man. A-Son was, you know, like a lot of people, I would say this, most people's not built for fame and fortune, right? Like, and if you grow up in group homes and you're institutionalized, and you might have some bipolar issues, substance abuse problems, et cetera, you give someone everything in the whole world that they wanted. It's very hard for people to handle that well. Or most people aren't Ice-T, you know what I mean? Like Ice could get all that and he could handle it. Most people are not that person. And they lose perspective, and that's what happened to Dirty. It's very sad, but it's also like, you know, it's a classic cautionary tale. You got to really, you know, watch what happens when you get everything you wish for, because when you get everything you wish for, it comes with a lot of shit attached. You know, it's like, and he just wasn't, you know, he wasn't prepared for it all, and it just all went the wrong way, which is very sad to see. You know, I saw him when he came out of prison, and Dame Dash had signed him, and Dame had, you know, I knew Dame back then. I still know Dame, but he was like, come and check out your man. And it was really sad, man. It was really sad to see he was spent. It was done. The being in prison and the psych ward in prison really had taken a toll on the brother. He wasn't the same human being, and it was sad to see. You know, and I remained friends with RZA and a lot of those guys because I always stood by Dirty through thick and thin. He was worth it. He was, you know, I remember he got shot when I worked with him. He got shot in Brooklyn. He jumped through a window another time. I mean, we did this show in LA, and I want to say it was at the Palladium, but it wasn't Palladium. It was the spot on Vine right by Capitol, whatever that is, that club right there. And we did the show for, it was Rap Pages had like a seminar. And he killed it. It was right when the record came out, right when the single came out. He just bodied it, just destroyed it. But he was performing, and it was like the second or third to last song, and these dudes in the front was he had a bottle, and they was all hanging out. They was like in front of the crowd, and it was apparently Grape Street Crips. We didn't know that, but he just took his bottle and he handed it to a dude that he drank from the audience. He gave it back to him, and so after the show, like they literally cut his sound off. He jumped off the stage and walked through the audience and was still performing. And we went outside with all these dudes, and they like became our friends. And they were all these Grape Street Crip dudes who we didn't know at the time. We didn't know what they were, but they ended up always fucking with him when he came out here because we had met them at that show. And I was like, this motherfucker could go anywhere and meet motherfuckers and be good. It was bugged out. And they was like, you know, they're not the people you expect to be old Dirty Bastard fans, but they was his friends and his fans. It was bugged out. Like we used to come out here a lot. Like I knew the dudes, the Operation from the Bottom dudes too, and they used to rock with Brand Nubian a lot. So we would come out here and meet dudes all the time. And it's funny how like people come out from New York and they'd have problems, but we would come out to New York, to LA, and we would always be good because we always, you know, respected everyone's boundaries where everyone's from, and you just got to know how to move wherever you go. You know, like Brand Nubians is very good at doing that. They always made friends wherever they went.
I think that's one thing about LA, man. That, the sets usually embrace cats that come out here and act cool.
Makes sense. I mean, look, you can step in shit anywhere if you ain't the right size. You could step into bullshit anywhere. But you know, I did this shit my whole life. I never had a problem anywhere. You know?
Yeah, and I think if you come, I think what'll happen though with a lot of these young cats, you know, they'll meet some dudes from the hood, and they wind up wanting to become Crips and Bloods. I never understood it because I always say you can just be yourself, and they go fuck with you. Just be yourself. You ain't got.
You got guys. I mean, you got guys who got to like check in when they come here, and you know, we all know. Like, look, man, I grew up with like crazy Puerto Rican motherfuckers, and you know who to let in and who not to. You got to give dudes a Heisman. You can't let dudes get in real close because you know gangsters are gonna do gangster shit, and if they can do some gangster shit to you, they're gonna do gangster shit to you.
That's
you know, you just gotta have to.
What I say all the time: if a nigga can get close and fuck you, he gonna fuck you if he think he can play with it. So just got to watch your element.
I say you got to know, and if you're smart, you got the spidey sense. You know, you just know. You know,
I bet that was hell. How was it trying to mix that album?
Dude, mixing Old Dirty Bastard album was a nightmare because RZA had told me. He told me this years later. Like, so I don't know if you guys noticed, he had a flood in his house, and he lost Cuban Links and he lost Liquid Swords, the whole albums. So the flood destroyed all his equipment. So he had a 2-inch machine in the house. He had all his records, all his shit. So he lost everything. So he had to go and make those records while Dirty's records waiting to get mixed. So he doesn't show up. So I got to figure out how to mix a record myself. And I, you know, I'm an engineer to an extent. Like I'm not an engineer and I know a lot of shit. But man, you know, the way he does shit is not the way a normal person does shit. He got RZA signs. I ain't got the manual. I don't have the RZA God Body manual to mix his records. So, you know, it was very difficult. And most difficult of all was mixing Brooklyn Zoo, which True Master did, but True Master was nowhere to be found. And so I mixed that shit 3 fucking times and I couldn't get it right. It just ain't sound right. I could not get the motherfucker right. And the 4th time, I was like, you know what, man? I'm gonna just fucking put a kick in the snare in this shit because I can't make the drums sound good. They sound like shit. So I just took a break record and I chopped that shit up and put it in there. It's the only thing I did on the record, really, and I only did it because I was failing over and over again, and I was like, I got to get this fucking record done. So it worked, and you know, it made sense. And when we went to master the album, I told RZA, you know, I put a kick and snare in there. He looked at me like, whatever. Like it didn't make no sense. He didn't care. But when I hear that record, I still hear the kick and snare in there. It's a pretty famous break record. And you can hear the snare every time you hear it if you know what record it is. But it was hard, man. I mean, look, they gave me like the album has like 11, 12 songs. Like I think it came to me with like 8 songs done, vocals done, and getting him to finish the rest of the shit and mixing the shit was he got shot, he got arrested, he got thrown out of every nightclub in New York. He showed up on Dust a few times. Like, you know, he was just fucking a wild man. So,
Definitely.
you know, we got it done though, man. We got it done. It was, you know, like in my career, I've done a bunch of shit, but like that's the only time someone handed me lightning in a bottle. And it was like, you know, they gave me the football in the red zone. They say, yo, score that fucking touchdown. Take that motherfucker. Get it done. Walk these dogs. And because in my head, I kind of knew it might never happen again. You know, like you got to catch that moment, like be in the moment, get it. And I never had that. I never had that battery on my back before when I was as an A&R guy, and I managed to get it done against you know, a lot of people told me I signed the wrong motherfucker. They were like, "You signed dirty. Why ain't you sign Method Man?" But you know, I don't know, man. Old Dirty Bastard. His presence spoke to me, and when I met him, I was like, "This guy's a genius." You know, look, I love the Bismarckies, the Grand Poobahs, the Snoop Dogs, even the Ludacrises. I like those characters, right? They're
Right.
like characters. And Old Dirty Bastard was a character to me, right? So I was like, this could be one of the great things I do. And I was lucky enough that I was right. And I was lucky enough, this is the thing I said, I was the luckiest enough that RZA trusted me. So I met RZA and we bonded, and he trusted me to walk those dogs because he could have took that shit anywhere, right? But he trusted me with that gem. And so that's a big honor. So you can't fuck that up. When RZA trusts you with one of his own family, his cousin, you know, you got to rise to the occasion. If you don't, you know, what are you worth in this world, right? So that's one of them times when I had to do what I had to do. I had to prove myself, and I did. You know, luckily.
Yeah, you had another one too. You had KMD.
I did. MF Doom. Yeah,
and
man.
who came MF Doom? I think it's his brother died in the car. His brother died, right?
Yeah, his brother got hit by a car under mysterious circumstances. And, you know, we put out the second record was coming out, Black Bastards. And like, you know, he used the Sambo logo that he drew. And the record's called Black Bastard. It looked like the game Hangman. You know that game you play when you're a kid? So it was that. And he was hanging the Sambo stereotype in effigy. And, you know, Billboard saw it, a woman named Terry Rossi, and she said that it was basically irresponsible and some, you know, like kind of accused us of being racially insensitive for allowing him to use his artwork. So his record, the label, it was in the, you know, it was like right after Ice-T had the shit with Cop Killer. So Warner Brothers was they were nervous, and they let it go. So they gave him back his masters, and he disappeared for a few years, you know, and he came back as MF Doom. His name is Doom, is Daniel Dumile. So his name was Doom. So he just became who he really was. And in a strange way, it was a blessing, right? He went, you know, never losing your brother can never be a blessing, but like all the trials and tribulations he went through made him find this inner voice, and he came back as MF Doom, which is, you know, a totally kind of different chamber of music. But I feel like that is like a metaphor on some level for like black people in America. Like you can hand motherfuckers a bowl of shit and they're gonna come back and make the greatest thing ever. You could give people the worst conditions in the world, subject people to bullshit, but watch what motherfuckers do with that, right? That ingenuity and that spirit. And I always felt that in his music. He was like a modern blues man or some shit. He got handed the worst shit in life and he made that shit into gold, right? You know,
That's hip hop. That
that's
mask is
hip-hop.
iconic. Yes, hip hop shit for real. That mask is iconic. I remember, man, somebody telling me that Doom would go do shows all over the world and have somebody being Doom over
He
here.
did. He had this
somebody
dude.
being Doom in England, somebody in Ireland doing a show being Doom.
Yo, I went to see him in Philly one time. Drove up there to the show, and I was on the side of the stage, and dude came up next to me. I put his arm. I looked over, and it was Doom, but he was on stage. His man was being him. This dude Ben, it was Ben Klingon. Like, yeah, Doom was you know, man, we're working on this big big thing about him. Me and the family, and we're gonna do. We got a lot of shit that we're trying to do that celebrates him because you know he's one of a kind. Like he is, it's wild because he has become like a guy who never had a hit record, right? But he is like a folk hero, which is so wild when I think about him.
A
He's like
lot of
mythical.
yeah, a lot of people fucked with MF Doom that I didn't even know about. I would see people and they'd be like, man, with the mask and all that shit. He was like he was like a, like you said, a folk hero to a lot of people.
You know who put
Yeah,
me up on Doom?
he's like the centerpiece for like the whole Earl world. Tyler and them, they love him. He's like godlike to them, mythical. It's bugged out.
Yeah, you know who put me up on MF Doom? My oldest son. I heard that gazillionaire and I was like, who is this you listen to? This shit is ill. He said, it was MF Doom. MF Doom was incredible.
Yeah, it's crazy you say that because like all the youngsters around me, like my family and shit, like, you know, my nephew, like his favorite rapper is Doom. He's like 20 years old. I was like, how the fuck is that your favorite rapper? You're supposed to like Travis Scott or some shit. But he just loves Doom and he's always asking me about Doom shit. So, you know, if everything lines up in the next, you know, we're trying to do this doc and all this shit with the families, you know, we're knee deep in trying to figure it out. So his story will be told in another way, a very creative way, if everything comes together. Doom was one of a kind, man. You know, that's a unique individual, and I always tell people I worked with KMD. I didn't work with Doom, but Doom was my really good friend. You know, he was like my brother for life, and he's just a unique individual. Like he's a wild boy, man. He was the funniest. Like there's no one like him. You know, and in this rap thing, like I always say, like I'm so lucky to be allowed to be part of it, to contribute a little bit to it, to be accepted, to have made friends who are like family to me, whether it's Large Professor or it's Muggs and them or whoever the fuck it is in this world that like, you know, I get to really be part of it, to have spent all those days with Bismarcky looking for records and pro keds and traveling, buying shit with him and shit like that, running around the world with people like that is the greatest honor of all of it. Like I never had a real job. I never really had to stress too much for money. Like, you know, I'm fucking blessed. This thing is to me like hip hop the most important subculture of my lifetime. And without it, I don't know what the fuck I would have done. And my life would have been so much it would have been boring, bro. Life would
Can
have
you
been real
imagine if
fucking
you wouldn't
boring.
have been doing it? Some of the greatest artists in hip hop would never have probably came into existence. Have you ever
No, I
stepped back
can't say
and thought about
that. I
people you
can't say
signed?
that. I don't say that because I say to me, so I was just lucky enough that like I don't know how you guys feel about God, but I believe in God, very abstract.
Oh, I
But I
believe
believe
in
in
God
something
too.
bigger. You know, I'm not like a Jesus dude with God. Like I'm on some universal unconsciousness, right? So, but I was lucky enough that what I call God put me in a position to open the door for people. But I just was that lucky motherfucker whose antenna was tuned in, turned on, right? So I just was very blessed to be allowed to help some great people come to light. But I believe that those people would have found a way anyway because they had the talent. I was just lucky enough to be able to open the door for them. And that's an
Now,
honor, man. That's an honor to me.
now I want to ask you about two groups in one person.
Okay.
How did you find Digital Underground?
So Digital Underground, a guy named Ed Strickland I worked with, he was a promo guy. He was traveling and he came back from the Bay and he had Underwater Rhymes. He had that record and we listened to it and we liked it a lot. And then Adrian Gregory, who managed them, sent him the tape that had Do What You Like on before it came out. Because they were putting records themselves out on TNT Records through Macola, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they had put out Underwater Rhymes. So they pressed up Do What You Like and sent us that. We was talking to them. And then I had the record and we played it in the office and De La Soul was there. And they were like, Pasta Noose was like, you better sign those motherfuckers. And we all were like, yeah, we need to get the deal done. And we signed them. So my hats off to De La, kind of pushed that one over the top. And that was it, man. We met Hump and all that. And unfortunately, I left before the album came out because I wasn't making no money working at Tommy Boy. And someone actually was like, we're going to give you a real job and give you a real check. And you don't have to live in a shoebox apartment no more and sell weed on the side. So I got to stop hustling and had a real job, thank God. But yeah, dude, you know, Digital Underground, And Shock was like Shock G's one of them dudes. Man, he was like a genius. Like I can't explain it. Like he could sit down at the piano and play some real shit. Like
Yeah, he's a bad boy.
He's a genius motherfucker. He did all the artwork. He would send the drawings in. Like he was a genius. Like I never, he's like, look, man, drugs suck. You know what I mean? Like, and he, he had problems with things later in life. But man, that dude was light years ahead of motherfuckers. And he did everything. He played everything, produced everything. He was so motherfucking talented and so fucking cool. He was the coolest.
Oh, Shock. So you lay it right into him. De La Soul. Do you remember how you met them?
Yeah, so they were getting signed already, and I got interviewed for the job. I had been I'm old, but I was Eric B. and Rakim's road manager, right? So when I was a kid, because I worked for Rush Productions, I worked for Russell and Leor, and I was a crazy kid. I went on the road with the Beastie Boys, and when I was a kid, and my friend Sean was a road manager. He was like, here's how you be a road manager. I'm basically his slave. He was like, you're gonna just be my fucking slave every day. You're gonna do all the shit I don't want to do. So I learned how to kind of road manage. I became their road manager, and rap music. And I'm sure you know this, Eiht. It wasn't like, it was small, man, small community, right? In LA, probably even smaller than New York,
Definitely.
It was just a hand. It was like, because in LA, I think of LA as it was like it all comes from Uncle Jam's army, right?
Uncle Jam's army. Records came through McCullough. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. And it was small, man. It was like, it was Ice and them dudes. And, there was just a small group of people, the Dre and them, it was small. Julio G, it was Tony and them. So, New York was a little bigger, but it's still small. So I knew everybody. So Daddy O from Stetsasonic, they had offered him an A&R job, but he didn't want it because he's doing the shit. But I had been on the road with him. And he was my boy. Damn near him. He was damn near trying to get me to be like a 5%. I swear to God, I can't make this shit up. So, like the whole shit, like you teach, I know the supreme alphabet, the whole shit. So he told them they should hire me, and I went for the job, and they played me a tape, and it was De La Soul, and it was plug tuning, and I lost my mind. I said, this is the greatest thing I ever heard. I was like, this shit is I was like, I loved Ultramagnetic. I was like, this is beyond Ultramagnetic. This is like even further out there. And they said, oh, we're going to sign this. So they called me a couple of weeks later, right before Christmas. I'll never forget. It was snowing out. I went to the office, and Monica Lynch was like, so you got the job, and that group that you really like? I was like, yeah, Prince Paul's group, because I knew Prince Paul. She was like, I was like, yeah. She's like, that's going to be your first group. So I ended up working with them and really basically spent a whole year of my life with them, traveling. I would road manage them. We go all over the country. I took them to LA the first eight, you'll appreciate this. I took them to play at World on Wheels. So we played at World on Wheels, and we had never seen no shit like that before. So I knew I'd been to LA. I knew more about it than them. But we played at World on Wheels, and that shit was cripped out like a motherfucker.
Oh,
like
yeah.
We never seen no shit like that before. Like I was like, yo, this shit is fucking crazy. And we were bugging because everyone's wearing like Yankee shit and Georgetown shit. And I was like, cowboy shit. And then we seen dudes. Yeah, we seen dudes crip walk. And Ice-T hosted the event. It was for K-Day. And 783, that's where I met Muggs. That's the day I met. No, I knew Muggs. I met Everlast that day. He was with the Rhyme Syndicate. And we knew Ice, but I knew Ice, but we got cool with Ice because in the club, there was a big-ass fight. And then dudes went at it, and they got everyone out the club. Yo, they locked us in the club. They locked us in, and dudes were shooting in the parking lot. And we were like, and we're De La Soul, man. There were striped shirts, and we got flat tops and Air Maxes. We don't know about that shit. That's not us. No one's a sucker, but we don't know that shit. And man, just running around the country with De La that was so much fun. And then I came back a few months later with Latifah, and we played at World on Wheels and at Skateland. So I went to both of those motherfuckers.
Oh, yeah.
And Skateland was wild. Skateland was way scarier to me. It smelled like dust when we walked in. And the Booyah dude, that's why I met Booyah, because Booyah dudes were doing security.
That's
so and the dude from Booyah, Rid, Gangster Rid was like, hey man, I rap. I'm gonna get you, give me your number. And then I would talk to Gangster Rid on the phone and shit. So like, De La, man, like people forget, like 87 they were out, and their record was big on K-Day. It was big in LA. So you know what De La was like. I
Platoon
met them.
was big in LA. It was
Yeah,
big.
it was.
Platoon was the shit out here.
Yeah,
That's when I first came to LA.
K-Day would see, like, New York didn't have an all rap station. K-Day was the first all rap station in America, the first one, right? So we used to fuck with Greg Mack and his scandalous ass, and Roger Clayton, because Roger used to be in New York. People don't know that the LA posse moved to New York for a while when it was
Yeah, I
doing
know that
LL's
DJ
record.
Bobcat. That's my guy, brother.
All that Bobcat, and that's why I met Pooh. So I met Pooh back then, because Pooh was the youngest one. So me and Pooh used to hang out and smoke weed, like, because they were always kind of sunning Pooh. They're like, yo, take this there, do this, do that, right? So I knew all them dudes, and back to De La, like De La was just, when I met them, they were like, it was like looking at myself. And we had the same likes. We liked all the same shit. We all wore funny ass shit. You know, we were fucking funny we were funny. Like we was, because at that time, rap changed. Everyone was so hard, right? But this new thing came out and it was like we was having fun. Like, and there was bitches around. It was like, it was another thing. So, you know, we was into all that, like fashion and shit. So when I met them, it was like meeting my kindred spirits. Like I was like, oh, I've known you my whole life. So we just, man, we ran around the whole world, man. We went to England the first time they went. We did all this wild shit. It was super fun. And to this day, like those are my brothers. Like I speak to Paz all the time. You know, like when Dave passed, I was like really, you know, that took a lot out of us. But, you know, when he passed, I went to New York. I spoke to Paz and he's like, come to the shit. Stop bullshitting. So I got a ticket like the last second I went to New York. And I was there when they had the big thing at Webster Hall with Dave Chappelle and all that. And like I was on stage, like, you know, I was with Latifah. I'm with La because Dana's like my sister. And I'm there and we're Common. And I got to tell you, man, that shit was like a spiritual experience, man. I was like, you know, I didn't go to high school. I barely went to high school. I didn't go to college. But I went to hip hop. That's my college, right? So, and that was like my college reunion. I was there with my people with Paz and you know, everyone was there and Mace and man, that shit was great. And you know, look, the people you meet when you're a young man, you're becoming a man, those people are very important in your whole life, right? Because you have, you know, you watch people have children, you watch people get married, you might see them get divorced, you watch people go from being young men to being men. And that to me is like those bonds we make them, they never go away. So me and De La is like, you know, to this day we're like, you know, always connected. I go to Miami, I'm gonna go see Paz. You know, that's how it is. So, you know, and those dudes musically, like they change everything. Like, you know, look, there's people who change everything. NWA changed everything, right? De La Soul changed everything. There's before, Run DMC changed everything. There's before and after. Motherfuckers come out and they do this, and then there's what happens afterwards. So they're one of those groups that changed everything. And I'm lucky, and Wu-Tang changed everything, you know? I'm lucky enough to have been around that shit, you know? And you know, my pops is like a very smart cat. He hung out with all these jazz musicians, like, but he always knew, like, he always could spot greatness, right? So I'm lucky enough that I could see sometimes, and it's not only the music, it's the culture around it. You can see the greatness if you're lucky, right? And De La was one of the things. That was a moment in time when you felt like, man, like, hey, did you ever go to Latin Quarters?
No.
So the Latin Quarters to me was like, I was like, every single one of these fucking groups gonna be famous. Probably like how World on Wheels was, all that K-Day shit. Every one of these motherfuckers gonna be famous, right? It was just like it was in the air. I can't explain it other than that. It was crazy.
Now, for the last group, I want to ask you is a twofold question. Leaders of the new school.
Oh, that's okay. So Leisure New School is like the best and worst group I worked with of all time because they were like
Rhymes go. They kicked them out, didn't they?
They didn't really kick him out. They kind of just ruined it all. Like so it was like they never got along too good. There was always like tension between Brown and Buster. There was always beef, always little shit going on, and it was jealousy because Buster was a star. We seen it. He was like, this motherfucker is a star, and Charlie Brown was dope. Don't get it fucked up.
Oh no, he was
Buster.
Yeah, he was.
No, but he wasn't. He not Buster Rhymes though. You know, there's only one of him.
Showman. He wasn't the showman that Buster was. Buster knew he had the showmanship. You get me?
Right.
Everybody else just in the group. You get me?
Right.
We got lyrics. We got lyrics, but you know when there's this that nigga's gonna be superstar. You get me?
I mean, he had that Jamaican dance hall shit. You know what I mean? That like, you know, like in New York, we have a lot of Jamaican culture. I lived in Brooklyn, went to high school in Brooklyn. So Jamaican people is just, if you ever go to Jamaica and if you ever peep any dance hall shit, no slouches make it because it's the third world in Jamaica. My book is just poverty is real. So if you made records in Jamaica, you're dope as fuck. Buster has that thing in him. Like he's super competitive and super dope because it means everything to him. His work ethic is crazy. So, you know, there was jealousy and it was mounting. And as we got to the second record, like I always say, scenario is the greatest thing to have in the leaders in new school. It's the worst thing to have in the leaders in new school. Because Busta Rhymes, Q-Tip threw him the crazy alley-oop, right? He was like, I'm gonna make this whole record, this one part is a showcase for him. Like, watch this. And he passes him the fucking rock. Exactly. Drops the drums. And then Buster has you know, he's just no drums. And he just, as I come, you know, as I rewind, like the shit is just crazy. So after that, everyone's tapping on Buster's shoulder, do this feature, Puffs in his ear. Fucking everyone's trying to fuck with him. Big is hollering at him. He's a, you know, Tribe is with him all the time. He's like, he is starting to really shine and shit gets really hectic. And with that second record, Time, if you ever listen to it, they're all trying to out rap each other. No one's giving each other. It's not a group no more. It's all like, look at me, look at me. It's not cohesive. And they made the record the first time, and it was whack, yo. They delivered it the first time, and Chris Lighty, rest in peace. He was their manager. He was like my really good friend. And I was like, Chris, what's up with this record? He's like, this shit's whack. I was like, this shit's whack. So we sent him back. We sent him back to do the whole record again. And it got better, but not a whole lot better. And I had wanted Q-Tip to go redo the whole record, and was so bugged out. All of them said no, but Buster took me aside. He said, yo, I like that idea. And I was like, this guy's smarter than everyone else. So the record came out, and it didn't do too good. Got bad reviews, and I knew they're gonna break up. And the whole time, me and Chris was like, Buster, we got you on the solo. We got you on the solo. We got you. And it took him. He didn't want to do it. He did not want to do it because he was a little scared. He's only 19. And he had been in a group, and he felt like he didn't want to be disloyal. He felt like that was, you know, this is my clique, and I'm gonna ride out with my people, and that's what I signed on for. And then when Charlie pulled that shit on Yo MTV Raps, when he basically was like broke the band up on TV, you know, Buster was so man. You ever seen someone get so mad they cry?
Yeah.
Like they just so mad they cry. Like they're not hurt like that. They're not sad. They're so angry they cry because they want to kill somebody. That's how Buster was. And me and him we hung out the whole day. Like and I was like, you come on, man. You know what it is. Like, you know, you ready? And he was like, you know, he's like, I think I'm ready. And he came back and said he was ready. And then bong, we just went and did the Busta Rhymes show, and that was that. You know, and like I don't regret it at all. Look, those guys, leaders had talent. You know, but Busta Rhymes was probably always should have been a solo artist. He's that dope, and you know the proof is in the pudding. He's still here, still relevant. Well, how many years later, right? 35 years later. It's like Brand Nubian too. They had split up, and everyone told me don't make a. They not shit without Grand Poobah, but then they put out Punch Jump Up, and I believe that they had it. I didn't feel like the leaders without Busta had it the way that Brand Nubian did. I can't say it any other way.
They had some cuts that were sustainable, like you said.
Right.
They were able to, you know, don't let it go to your head, and Punks Jump Up to get beat. That they had songs, so
yeah,
were able to sustain without Grand Poobah. Now I like the Grand Poobah too. You get me?
I love him. He was nasty. He was, you know, there was like I always say this, like for 1 year, like there's a lot of dudes who was like top dog for a year. For like 1 year, Grand Poobah was the top dog in New York. But, you know, you got to do it for 10 years, 5 years. You can't do it for 1 year. It's tough, you know? And
where did Grand Poobah come from? Did he come from a group called Masters of Ceremony?
100%.
Shit, man.
That was the shit. Record. Sexy was, I mean, it was banging that on K-Day. That was a K-Day record.
Fucking record was hard as fuck.
That shit was hard. Look, man, we was fans of Grand Poobah. When we was making De La Soul record, It was like Grand Poobah is nice. We're like, yo, I don't know about the rest of the group so much, but Grand Poobah, yeah, he's nice.
Yeah, he was nice, man. He definitely was nice.
You know, so I mean, you know, and he had a run for a minute, you know, and so did Brand Nubian. And look, man, music is it's really hard to sustain, man. It's so hard, and because you don't do it and you're not a top dog for 10 years or 20 years doesn't mean you wasn't great. You know, it's just like.
Hey, you know when I knew Busta Rhymes was gonna be the shit? I played college football, right? We was about to play somebody that was big, eh? We was about to play Arizona when they had the Desert Swarm. That's when they had Teddy Bruschi and all them. So this is a big game. And I go to little bitty ass New Mexico State. And that was the year they was #1 team in the country, and we lost them 14-7. We caught the bus from Las Cruces all the way to Arizona. You know what they played back to back? And that's when I started fucking with Busta Rhymes. Come on down, come on down, come on down. Big Daddy Kane joint. That's when I heard Busta and that dun-dun-dun, that real menacing. And he was like, all over the track. Man, we went out there and almost upset fucking Arizona listening to that song, man.
Did you know Kane back? Eiht, did you know Kane back in the day?
I banged Kane like it wasn't shit. Kane was my favorite artist, man.
Yeah, he was nasty. Kane was like the James Brown of rap. Like he was like
Kane was vicious, man. Especially when he went off on records. You get me? None of that smooth operator type shit.
The Wrath of King, shit like that.
Whoa. Let it roll, get bold.
Man. Man, when I used to see him at the Latin Quarters, and I was like, this motherfucker is the greatest motherfucker in the world. I was like, he's the greatest. I really was like, he's the greatest. Like, he was so ill to me. And KRS-One too, totally different, but super crazy. But you know, like that like witnessing that, man, that was like, to me, like I seen everything. That's still to me the greatest shit I've ever seen.
We had the greatest rhymers, man, of all time in our era. And not
100%.
Body, but we, like I said, it was a certain pride we took when it came to making songs and music. And we looked at that as, man, if you can't make it here, nigga, you ain't making it nowhere. So you better put in some shit. Because, nigga, after this, back to the block. It's back to shootouts and drug sales. So
I got you.
I gotta, man, it got to make sense right now. You feel me? And
that's what everybody rapped like they was trying to get off the block.
Some motherfuckers just put their ass in. Yeah, every nigga who was rapping back then was trying to get the fuck off the block. And once they
100%.
Once they knew, wait a minute, I can put some real shit together, and niggas finna pay me a couple of million. Nigga, I'm about to get, nigga, please. Nigga, I'm like, nigga, it ain't finna be just ABC 1, 2, 3. Mary had a little lamb and blah. Nigga, I'm finna shit to where you gonna be like, God damn, this motherfucker hard.
And Dante,
what year did you first make your first record? What year was your first record, Eiht?
My first record was probably 87, 86, 87. I had a single out with DJ Slip. And I wasn't doing shit on it, just chanting on the record. But I was a 16-year-old kid. Like, and Slip used to make techno records out here. You get me? A lot of techno came through LA before the establishments of Tone Lopes and Toddy T's and
all the electro shit, all the like up tempo, like
they did a lot
of records.
Yes. So me as a young kid trying to get out the hood, shit, I met Slip and I would just go sit up at Slip's house while he would do techno records from, that's how they made their bread. Nigga, I'm gonna make me a 12-inch, nigga, call this motherfucker, nigga, the shock of the hour or some crazy shit, and I'm gonna throw this motherfucker out in the swap meets and in the record pools and all that shit. And that's how niggas made their little change back then. And so Slip used to let me, nigga, this Compton City, Compton something, and I would just do chants and make records with him while he did the beats and the music, and I would just chant. And it went from there to go, I'm finna write a fucking rap. And then I just started writing, and then going through the situations I was going through every day with high school and gang banging and teen pregnancy and trying to sell crack pieces to, you know, I just started penning shit about the life I was shit. Nigga, today we woke up, niggas tried to sweat us, police came through, the homie got shot. Nigga, I was at the swap meet trying to find me this, got into it with some niggas from the other side, and you would just start writing that, and then it turned more serious when you start going, I need to make some money. It turned from, I can't get a job. I got no high school education. I ain't went to college. You get me? I'm out here gang banging, trying to sell dope to make ends meet. Where the fuck am I going? You get me? What's so different? Because I look up every day when I go to school and I see 100 niggas just like me. You get me? All wearing the same shit. We all got on Raiders hats and white t-shirts and khakis and Cortez, and we all doing the same shit. You got to separate yourself from the shit. So, like I said, I just started writing raps about the community, and niggas can't get ahead, and niggas can't get a break. And motherfucking, you got niggas over here wanting to kill you. You got one times over here wanting to jack you. You get, so that's how I started constructing my shit to make it like, oh, it's niggas like me out there. Like rapping, and you know, we fun, and you know, we had the young MCs and we had the JJ Fads and we had the fun raps, but then nigga, there's some serious shit going on out here.
Was 6 in the morning the one that got you like to like know you could do it that style?
Honestly, Eric Rakim, the president. The president is what made me start rapping like I rap.
Your hands to what he's doing.
Because he was, even though he was the same shit. You get me? I'm taking off my coat, nigga. The rhymes antagonize me, nigga. I'm looking for a donut, nigga. The bitch trying to glaze me. You get
I love it.
Shit. You get me? He wasn't talking about, you know, I'm Rakim having fun. Nigga, I'm in the struggle out here. You get me?
Yeah. His shit was sounding ice cold.
Man, I came to the door. I said it before. Nigga, I never let the mic magnetize me no more. But it's biting me. You get me? He telling you some shit. Nigga, I got to take off my coat and clear my throat, nigga. Like, let me talk to you right quick. That's what made me take rap serious when I heard him.
Crazy. That's
What
crazy.
did you think, Dante, when you first heard gangster rap? Like, be real. Like, when you first heard gangster rap, did you know it was gonna be some shit?
So I'm one of the like 5 people in New York who liked NWA. So I came to, this is such a funny story. I came to LA for motherfucking BRE, I think. You remember BRE? So I came for the BRE shit. I was working, I think I was working at Tommy Boy. I just started working at 87. I grew up with this is the craziest thing. I grew up with Kadeem Hardison, Dwayne Wayne from Cosby Show. He's my childhood friend. We went to his mom and my mom's was cool. He's just my brother. So literally my friend from grade school. So I was hanging out with him. I checked in with him every time I came out here. And he was like, you heard this shit yet? And it was like, it was Makede and it was dope, man. And I was like, what the fuck? And it sounded kind of like the Beastie Boys. But it was ill. And they had the skit, you know, hey, Mr. Dope Man, the whole shit. And then I went and bought the 12-inch. I was like, yo, I want to go buy that, bring it back home. I brought it and I seen the cover, and the cover, it just bugged me the fuck out. I was like, who the fuck are these motherfuckers? This shit is wild. So I was fan. I liked this shit. I liked it. I didn't know CIA. I knew 6 in the morning. I knew Ice-T. I knew the Batarang. But those records didn't really pop in New York like that, but I knew them. But I heard that Dope Man shit. I was like, this shit is crazy. And then I came back to LA and I met Ice Cube and Dre. So I was a fan. And if you look at that first NWA record, they said Dante Ross from Tommy Boy. Because I met them and they came to New York and they didn't know it was going to be dumb cold. I took Cube to buy a coat because he came out with a little fucking, he had the derby jacket. He didn't have a real coat. Like I was like, motherfucker, it's cold out here. So I don't know, man. I always liked it. I liked it because shit was raw. And they was talking on some shit that wasn't like New York. They wasn't trying to be like New York. So I liked that about it. Where like even Miami bass, I didn't really like Miami bass music, but it was original. It wasn't trying to be New York, but I didn't like it the way I like gangster rap.
Can I tell you a secret about Miami bass?
What happened?
Can I tell you a secret about Miami bass?
I mean, it's just electro. It's really just Planet Rock.
Hey, you know that shit originated out here. They produce
Yeah.
and Mr. Mix is from he's from out here. He's
From the
San
Bay
Diego.
Area.
Yeah,
I knew that. Yeah, he's from the Bay, and you know, even shit like, you know, Egypt, like Egyptian Lover, like, you know, Dial a Freak and all those records. Those are like Two Live Crew before Two Live Crew to me. You know,
Yeah.
but that music to me was, when that came out, like that shit was like it was cool, but then when they kept going with that, it was ancient to me. Like I was fucking with Rakim, I was listening to, you know, whatever, LL, that shit was like kind of ancient to
Yeah,
me.
that was our early, I guess, our early introductions into the crossing over from the techno into the hip hop, so to speak.
Yeah.
You know, Egyptian Lover and the Wrecking Crew and those type of cats, LA Dream Team.
Yeah.
That was our introduction because, you know, we thought that was rap, you know, and my beat goes boom and
Right.
what is a DJ if he can't? What is a DJ if he can't
I ain't
scratch?
gonna lie, I thought a lot of that stuff.
That record was hard. That record was hard though. I can't front on that record. That shit was hard.
That
shit
was hard. But I'm gonna tell you,
And so Dial a Freak was hard to me too. I can't lie.
Dollar Freak was our shit too because it got the girls freaking at the parties. Dollar Freak was our party anthem. And then, like I said, you wrapped it up with a little bit of Egyptian Lover. Like I said, my beat goes boom and what is a DJ? And then you brought it back with Ice-T, and when he came with 6 in the morning. That kind of set us on the path of finding our own identity as far as hip hop was concerned.
That and the Battle Ram, right? That and the Battle Ram is the two records.
The Battle Ram was really a neighborhood jam until it got so popular that Eve Jam, which was an independent label, put it out, and then Todd ended up getting a deal, like a single deal. Yeah, because of the Battle Ram. So the Battle Ram.
I always liked that record. Like to me, it was like
traveled through stages. It went from the homie cassette tape, then it went to the independent label, then it made it to the majors.
I used to go to the swap meet. I used to go to the swap meet and get hats made. You know, the LA hats, the embroider hats. And I would go there and I would ask dudes what the shit was, what was the tape, what was the thing to buy. And dudes would put me up on records in LA, like, and I had met the dude. I went to the Rhodium in Torrance, and I met I went to the dude's shit, Steve Yano, the Japanese dude, and I bought records from him. Like, you know, I knew, like, I had checked him out, but I remember that I had bought, and I know you guys used to be funking, but I had got DJ Quick's tape at the swap meet before it came out, and it was called the Red Tape. And that album is the same album as Born and Raised in Compton.
Yeah, that was
like 85% the same shit.
We had to.
He changed up some shit.
Yeah, he changed up a little shit, but 90% of that Red Tape was his first album.
Because I had tracked him down. He was talking shit. He was talking that shit.
He did a gang of dissing on that Red Tape. He was dissing us. He was dissing Easy and them. He was dissing that.
He took shots at everyone.
When you're establishing your position, and based on, you know, how we were in Compton and LA as far as the gangs were, it was only right. You get me? Them niggas is Crips. We Bloods. Like,
he was the first person to bring that aspect to it.
Right.
You know, to me, like, rap, don't get it fucked up. Rap is a full contact sport. Hip hop is a full contact sport. It's not for, you know, it's not marshmallow music. And people forgot that along the way, kind of. And, you know, like, look, De La, Not Tough Guys, all that shit, you know, whatever. But rap is like that, the essence, the battle aspect of rap, that's like at the core of it. That's like the meat and potatoes. That's where it started. So, you know, that's part of it. Like, you know, you can take a full circle.
When you start touring with niggas, you don't give a fuck where they from when y'all on tour. If y'all get out and start funking with some niggas in another state, then this whole tour gonna start getting down. Primo used to tell me stories all the time how, nigga, they wasn't no gang banging, but if so-and-so was on their tour and they was getting into it, niggas, shit, Primo like, nigga, we rolling up the sleeves too.
That's how it is, man. It's not a, it's like one for all. That's how it is. I
Man,
mean,
I heard.
we talking about like battle rap goes full circle, man. Drake and Kendrick, man, that's just that same shit. It's like to me, like, look, you hope it doesn't have repercussions, right? But that's like part of the beauty of this thing, man. Like that's, Hammer taking shots at Run DMC, and then, that shit is just part of it. It comes with the territory.
Yeah, for real, man. You know who I heard Big Daddy Kane actually had hands, man. Somebody, I
He
forget
did.
who it was. They
Beat up
told
Slick Rick in Rhode
that's what I
Island.
was about to ask you about. The
That
homie told us
happened.
that Big Daddy Kane beat up Slick Rick.
He did. That happens. Big Daddy Kane was known to beat people up. He was like, he just was hot tempered. He definitely was known to put his hands on people. And then there was also it's also like it's
He
very
was a
very.
hood. He was
I mean,
a
he beat
hood
up.
motherfucker.
He's from East New York. You know
Exactly.
what I
He
mean?
was a hood nigga.
That's a serious place. That's in East New York back in the day. Was only Brownsville was worse than all of Brooklyn. That's one of the roughest neighborhoods.
What Biz Markie say? My nigga said Big Daddy would grow up to be nothing but a hoodlum, either in jail
Or
or
someone would shoot him.
he was the hard nigga. Big wouldn't talk about himself like that. He telling you, I had another brother that's calm and plain. He go by the name of Big Daddy Kane. A mellow type of fellow that's laid back. Back in the days, he was nothing like that. And nigga said, I remember when he used to fight every day.
Facts. He beat up Brother Marquise.
He beat up Brother Marquise too?
Yeah, Brother Marquise said some shit to him, some god body shit. He didn't appreciate it, and he turned around and he had to do what he did at the New Music Seminar upstairs in the balcony, and Kane put it on him.
That's what we used to get it in at the New Music Seminars, nigga. You had beef with a nigga, you meeting them at the seminar, nigga, and it's going down, nigga. I'm telling
you. That's where Laylaw and them cut.
Lynch Mob and Above the Law. Let me ask you something. I want to ask both of you this.
At the New Music Seminar.
I mean, let me ask you. I always hear about Above the Law started G-Funk. I never know what the truth is in all of that because I never liked their music after Dre and them did them. I didn't love it. I like some songs. I like Black Superman. They had some joints, but they wasn't rocking the way Dre was to me. So I always wanted to know, were they really those dudes who invented that shit?
Hutch goes back, Hutch has, his for the Willie Hutchinson and all that. So they had that Philadelphia sound. But then, you got my dude Warren G, who, with Snoop and them, who claims their shit came out. You get me? Above the Law came out before all of them.
Yep, they did.
And you got to remember, Warren and Snoop started off with Above the Law.
Exactly. They all
did. Yeah, wait, explain that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, they was all clicked together when Dre and them formed. So because Above the Law had the first album, Living Like Hustlers.
Right. Well, NWA is before them.
NWA is, but not Snoop and G-Funk and Warren G in the town. It was NWA. And then it was Above the Law. They were first up after the Easy solo record and the NWA Straight Outta Compton. They came out on Epic under Ruthless. Yep. And their first album was Living Like Hustlers. And that album
was popping. That shit was knocking.
That album was the shit. They had Flow on that motherfucker.
Murder Rap.
And now I got a Murder Rap, just another execution. Nigga, they had Flow on. Nigga, they had songs on that.
That shit was hard. Nigga, that shit was harder than anything else they ever did. But I just was always like, who invented what? Like, I always wanted to know because I always read it and I'm always like, who really did what? I never knew.
I'll tell you like this, Dante. Warren G and Snoop were with them at the time, right? And I would have to say that they kind of did. And Warren is always kind of undervalued to me because his contribution to the Chronic is never hardly talked about. He kind of put that stuff together. But Dre, Dre got that ear, Dre hooked it up because a lot of those records was done already. A lot of those records like Little Ghetto Boy and all that stuff, those records was done already. And, Dre kind of went in and put his touches on them and made them magic I'm not saying Dre didn't do nothing, but Warren, she played a big part in that album.
So did Daz, right?
Yeah, Daz and Warren. I would say Warren was probably a little further along than Daz at that time. Warren was always dope because he had kind of went through boot camp. Like Snoop and them could have came out with Above the Law. They kind of gave Dre the blessing to go ahead and handle that with Snoop.
Interesting. I never knew any of that. Like I never met Above the Law. I met Easy back in the day. I mean, Easy was in New York. He didn't give a fuck. Like he was like, I'm over here now. Like fuck it.
I'm
Like,
surprised he didn't come because Easy had deals everywhere, didn't he?
Yeah,
Easy
everywhere.
I mean, Easy. This is so crazy. Easy, Jerry Heller, Dre, and Miss LA came to my office because I worked at Tommy Boy. I want to sign 2 groups. I didn't get either of them. Tribe Called Quest because they got way more money, and D.O.C, who we could have for $175,000. Tom Silverman looked at Jerry Heller and said no. But I want to work at Elektra. Jerry Heller called me up and he said, I'm going to get out of my deal at Atlantic for Ruthless. Do you want to sign D.O.C? And I said, how's that working? He said, we have a song that they won't put on the album called Bridget. You guys probably know that song. It's a song with it's the one they run the train on the girl. So they were like, they won't let us put the record on. We're going to get out the deal. So he came to see me, and they came to my office, and D.O.C wasn't there. I'd never met D.O.C. And they were like, they won't let us put the song on the album. I was like, yo, we'll do the deal. So then me and Jerry the next day met with my boss, and my boss told me, my boss is this OG, his name was Bob Krause, and he said, that Jerry Heller guy, don't trust him. I don't know how he knew. He said, don't trust that guy. And it turned out they couldn't get out of their deal. But they were all in my office, and I remember I played one song by Grand Poobah for them, and Dre was like, he's like, Grand Poobah, he's a bad motherfucker. But Easy was just like clowning. He was just fucking around, like walking around, just fucking around in the office. I was like, he was bugged out, but he really was in New York, like, just like, he was like, I can't explain it. He had an aura. Like, I was like, this guy's a bit larger than life, mad small. So only time I ever met him, he bugged me out though. And then of course it all became what it was. And
Right.
D.O.C to me, he was a bad motherfucker, D.O.C.
Oh, D.O.C was the shit. I think if D.O.C got in that accident, man, it really fucked a lot of stuff up for him. I'm always curious to see what his career would have been had he been able to put 3 or 4 more albums out.
Superstar.
Yeah, he would have been in that Kendrick era. He would have been in that Ice Cube era.
He would have been Ice Cube. Him and Ice Cube would have been like the top dog.
Would have been in that Ice Cube era, that Scarface era. That he was like you said, he was a bad motherfucker when it came to that pen. He was.
He rapped better than Ice Cube back then. Ice Cube was a better storyteller, but D.O.C was, man.
I think, he knew how to, because like another thing, he wasn't an LA nigga. You get me?
Texas.
So he was able to pen a lot of shit that didn't have the cultural aspects of gang banging and shit. You just looked at D.O.C and thought he was a LA nigga, but he was from Dallas, Texas.
Yep. He was in the Fila Fresh crew.
Fila Fresh crew. That's where I first heard of him.
Me too.
Fila Fresh crew. And he was one of those motherfuckers that when you heard, you was like, God damn, this motherfucker is talented when it came to that pen. So I wouldn't doubt that he would be up there on that upper echelon, Dr. 100%. Dre, Ice Cube status, or any nigga who was popular from the West Coast whose career.
And if you ask him, I talked to D.O.C and I talked to Scarface, right? I told D.O.C, man, that I thought his verse on the grand finale was, I thought he got killed. You know what he told me? He said, man, I wasn't better than Cube. Scarface told me he wasn't better than Cube. I think Prime Ice Cube, man. Prime Ice Cube.
So Ice Cube's one of those guys. For 1 year, maybe 2, he was top dog. He was the baddest motherfucker in the world. When America's Most Wanted came out, no one was fucking with Cube that year. I was like, he was top dog.
Yeah, in my opinion, the America's
second
Most
album too.
Steady, Death Certificate. It was. I don't, I say by around then, Cube started, venturing off into a lot of shit after that second record. He started
Right.
doing.
Once it goes to the Predator, it's you feel it go down.
It starts declining. And like I said, not because of, you know, his ability, but just because of the interest, probably. You get
He's doing movies and this, that, and the other.
I'm
Like
doing Fridays, I'm doing this, I'm doing Are We There Yet? I'm doing this movie. I got another Friday movie. I'm doing this. And Cube turned into, you know, the hip-hop Denzel Washington as far
when
as
you start thinking about the economics, though, Eiht, especially back then making records, you figure he got that movie money, man. He looking at what he making with his music. Like, man, I go do a movie.
This record and maybe make $500,000, maybe. But I can put out this movie and make 40, 50. You get me? Like the demographics. So now what my more thoughts and processes to finishing up these movie scripts than to trying to pin another steady mob in.
Is that why you didn't do no more movies, Eiht?
Well, I wasn't a movie dude. You get me? I didn't consider myself.
I know, man. You were incredible in Menace, man. You were fucking great.
Oh, that's why it was vice versa. It was different for me. I relied more on penning raps than let me go sit up and try to write a script with a nigga or do this or do that, because my sole interest was records, was hip hop.
I mean, let me tell you something. When you're in the car and you told them to stop acting like bitches, that shit was classic. When you was like, you sounded like a bunch of podcast bitches. That shit was incredible. Man, you were so authentic. Like, it was so, because you are authentic. But it was
that was, and people ask, and I'll be like, man, that shit we did every day on the regular.
Man,
it didn't have to be
great.
It didn't have to be a camera on. It didn't have to be a microphone on.
What you telling me? Say they killed your cousin.
Some nigga, and you riding around talking about who you don't want to shoot and who you don't want to kill, but your cousin laid up dead. Nigga, y'all got to be the most bitchinest niggas I've ever seen right now.
But that was so classic, nigga, man.
We going to peel some niggas' caps. We ain't worried about who's standing around outside and I don't want to shoot no kids and we didn't have that mentality. That was real shit. Like, we had a sense of well, we ain't just finna start shooting if it's 5 and 6 kids running around on bicycles and shit. We had a difference of approach, but hell no, nigga. We in the car and it's time for dirt to be done. I don't want to hear no shit about, well, I don't want to do this and I don't want to be. Nigga, are you politicking right now?
I mean, to me, that's the best. That's the best like hood movie, gang movie ever made. That's the best movie.
Your cousin laid up stiff as hell on the slab in the morgue, and you want to talk about what you don't want to do, nigga. If you don't get the fuck up out of my car right now,
you turned down shit after that though, didn't you, Eiht?
It was nothing as important as far as that scenario as that movie. Everything else was like bullshit, so I didn't want to do no.
I mean, that movie's a statement, man. That's a great movie. It's just a good. It's just a great movie because it's also like real life, like The Wire.
I didn't want to be looked at as like a character. I didn't want to be a character.
You watch The Wire, it's like similar in a way because what it showed you in that movie is like there is no real justice. The straight murderer O-Dog gets away. Homeboy who was trying to turn the corner and do the right thing, he got smoked. And that's the way shit is. There is no right or wrong. It ain't always going to work the way it's supposed to work. And I thought that was classic. Like in The Wire, when the little motherfucker killed Omar, right? You never know, there's no real rules in how it's going to happen. That's what I thought was great about it because there was no moral to the movie, right?
Yeah,
I love that movie.
That was bugged out. Did you ever watch The Wire, Eiht?
I've seen it.
The little bitty dude, the dude that was putting in all that work, man, a little bitty kid came and smoked him at the end.
Yep. Little dude, a little like 14-year-old smoked him. Because it's like, when it's your time, it's your time. It's not going to always work that way.
And when somebody feel like I can step in them shoes, it's your time.
Mm-hmm. Look, man, I know you've been to a lot of crazy places, but I've been there when the bullets went by and they didn't hit me, and if it was my day, it was my day. It wasn't my day. I'm fucking lucky, man. It's fucking life.
You just take life for what it is, man. Try to walk in that light to where, hey, I can't control what happened. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Are you in LA for good now?
Yeah, I live in LA. I've been here for 6 years in February. I still have a place in New York, but I stay in LA. I like LA. LA is
Man,
I, I hate winter, bro. I hate winter. I don't like that shit. And one day I was like, you know what? I don't got to live in New York and be dealing with winter no more. So I moved to LA. Fuck
you
it.
got a lot of dope. You got a lot of dope ass stuff going on, man. And I know Eiht feel the same. You got a home here, man. You welcome here, man. Whenever you
Hey
got
man,
something
thank
going
you,
on,
man.
All good.
whenever you
Yeah,
got
man.
something going on, man,
I'm out here,
get with it.
man. I live out here. Working in a lot of film and TV shit right now. I sold the screenplay to Lionsgate. I'm working on a project with Ice that I will talk to you guys about in a minute because I need to get Eiht on camera in it. It's basically everything before NWA. So it's the story of how it got to that. So
Right.
from Uncle Jam's Army up to Macola and the swap meet in Torrance and the whole shit. So, we finally got the funding for it. So as I get into shooting it next year, I'm gonna want to sit you guys down and talk about it. Because to me, like, and this is just my favorite rappers from LA, like, were always like, obviously there's Cube and everyone, but there's always you and King T were like the motherfuckers. I was like, and you guys got your records played in New York. It was like uncanny. We was bump. D.O.C got a shit bump in New York too, but they played your guys' records like side by side with all our records, and that shit to me is so cool. We listen to your music, man. We've been listening to it from when it came out. So I want to at some point sit you down when we're shooting, and I want to interview you because I want to get your perspective on how it all got to where it came from. From because while Uncle Jam's Army was going,
Exactly.
and Macola Records is popping, corny ass corny ass Young MC and Tone Loc is out there. They were making hit records, and Tone Loc is a real one. He's not a sucker. So I just think the whole shit is kind of interesting, So
Tone Loc is that's a Crip thing. Tone Loc.
of course it
Exactly.
is.
For sure. That's all good. Let's make it happen.
That's a
Let's
Crip
do it,
thing,
man.
man.
Look, you guys got my math. Anytime you want to holler, I'm here. Whatever you guys need, man. I'm always here. So let me know.
Oh, for sure. So
Indeed.
we appreciate you coming through, bro.
Oh, it's an honor, man.
You're on Twitter a lot, right?
I'm on Twitter, Instagram. I'll be talking my fuck Trump shit. I'm on my fucking Nipsey Hussle fuck Trump shit right now. So if that drives you crazy, don't look at my Instagram right now. You'd be mad because I'm just
Man, y'all make sure, man, y'all hit my man up, man. This is walking history right there. What's your Instagram, bro?
Yeah.
Dante Ross at Instagram. It's my name.
Like Ross Instagram, man. That's another Gangster Chronicles, man. We gonna holler at y'all cats next week, man. Y'all remember, man, if y'all listen to this audio, subscribe and leave a comment. Hey, we've been in the top 50 on Apple, dog, and Spotify for like 5 years, man. That gotta be a record, dog.
How many episodes have you guys done?
Man, I think we up to like 300 some episodes, man. Like at least 260, something like that.
Sick.
Yeah, we've been doing this for a while.
I don't really listen to podcasts. Like I'm like the last dude on earth. Like I just like I don't tune in too much.
Both, but it's something